Welcome back, friends, and thank you for joining me on day 10 with PeakFlix. Today you will need your Bizarre Animals book, sticky notes, and a pencil. Our objective today is that we will understand that text structures impact the meaning of an informational text by reading and identifying similarities and differences with the author's use of compare and contrast. So we're going to continue to talk about text structures, but we're going to be focusing more on compare and contrast. When we read Bizarre Animals, we're going to be reading for and identifying any words or key vocabulary that has to do with comparing and contrasting. When we contrast, we're talking about the opposites, differences. We're going to be looking at keywords such as different from, however, although, on the other hand, as opposed to, more than, less than, and on the contrary. When authors talk about similarities, they're usually comparing what they share in common. So they'll use signal words like similar to, alike, same as, not only, but also, resemble, as well as, and both. Here, on these pages, the author is talking about the link between having big brains and intelligence. I wanted to show you these pages because although the keywords do not appear for comparing and contrasting, the author is comparing all the sizes of the brains to one another in between all the different types of species. When we look at the pages on extraordinary eyes, I can tell just by the images that the author is comparing and contrasting the different types of eyes for different animals. However, when we look at all the captions, I'm actually able to find some of the key words. If we look at the introduction, I'm going to read out loud the difference between our eyes and other animals' eyes. Depending on where they live and what they see, animals need different kinds of eyes. Our eyes help us see objects close and far in front of us. Some animals live underground and have eyes that only see light and dark. Other animals have eyes that see shapes, color, depth, and movement. Here, the author is comparing our eyes to other animals' eyes. And when we look at all the images, we can talk about the differences between hippopotamus, frogs, insects, and earthworms. And at the very top, they also discuss the owl eyes. Some of the clue words here that help me identify that the author is comparing and contrasting is using words like ours and then other. That tells me that there's a difference between our eyes and other creatures. Also, when they mentioned insects, they said like other insects, meaning like this insect in this picture is similar or has eyes that are similar to other insects in the way that they are compound eyes and they have several lenses, in this case 30,000 lenses. We can also use the text feature of photographs to compare and contrast by simply looking at the images. And now I would like for you to give it a try. Continue reading Bizarre Animals and identify some similarities and differences of several animals or the groups of animals that they belong in, for example, mammals. And remember to reflect on your reading stamina and behaviors, and to complete today's exit ticket. You may pause this video and use this compare and contrast chart to look at the keywords linked to comparing and contrasting, but in your own mind, you can also stop and think about the differences or the similarities between the animals that you're learning about. Get started! And now let's move to our writing workshop. You will need your writer's notebook, pencil, and your Bizarre Animals book. Once again, we're going to continue talking about compare and contrast. We're going to compare and contrast the animals in our Bizarre Animals Zoo by using keywords to write about the similarities and differences to other animals. So we're going to be using these clue words or keywords such as alike, both, same, similar, like, in common, also, similarly, in comparison to, as well as. And to talk about the differences, contrast, we will use keywords such as different, differ, unalike, not alike, difference, on the other hand, however, although, even though, in contrast to, while, but. I wanted to quickly show you an example of author's writing in the section called It's a Grind. Pangolins don't have teeth, but they do have gizzard-like stomachs that grinds up their food for digestion. They swallow small stones and sand to help their stomachs break down food. These gastrolids aren't digested. When they become smooth from use, animals vomit them out and swallow new, sharper rocks. Here we're learning about the teeth and what they don't have, but what they do have, such as the gizzard like stomach. So the author used the word but. I wanted to show you an example of what my animal sign looks like when I used keywords to compare and contrast the similarities and differences between platypus and other animals. What makes this animal so bizarre is the fact that it shares traits with birds, reptiles, and mammals. Similar to reptiles and birds, it lays eggs. Also, like birds or ducks, it has webbed feet. However, it feeds its young milk like all mammals. Uncommon to mammals, one very special characteristic is the fact that the male platypus has small, sharp, venomous spurs on its back legs to protect itself from predators. Words like similar, also, like, all show you that I'm comparing the similarities. Words like uncommon or however are showing you that I am contrasting platypus to other species. And now it's your turn to try. Write 1 to 3 sentences more in each animal sign. Compare and contrast each animal to other groups of animals or animals like it. And remember to reread, edit, and revise your writing and complete today's exit ticket. Until next time.